He's arguing that his actions deserve immunity because he was only performing the duties required of him as a White House advisor to then President Trump. What do you make of that?
I think it's absurd, just flat out absurd. It is a motion that if I was a U.S. district judge and see that, I would seriously consider sanctions. That's how ludicrous that kind of motion is. These are state charges. We have a federal system, and by that I mean we have both federal courts and we have state courts, and there's state jurisdictions and state laws. And a federal employee is not any more immune from state charges as they are from federal charges. So that motion's not going to go anywhere, and it's not going to go quick.
Hey folks, Dale Jackson here for Yellowhammer Now. I've got a question for all my Democrat friends out there who watch these videos. Can you please find something for Doug Jones to do? Anything. It doesn't have to be fruitful or anything like that, but just something for him to do. Because at this particular point in time, it is becoming glaringly obvious that Doug Jones is bored. And he needs a purpose in life, and you need to help him find it here relatively soon. He is spending his weekend on low-rated cable news shows, ranting about random things, and being upset about people daring to challenge Joe Biden, a man who passed over him for Attorney General for Merrick Garland, who's doing a fantastic job. We have Doug Jones out here tweeting about stuff that is kind of interesting, somewhat. Ranting about the fact that somebody would dare challenge with a third-party candidacy, suggesting it's anti-democratic. It is rather funny and rather interesting. It's the opposite of that. I mean, it's not going to be fruitful, and it's rather stupid. But he believes that anyone who would do such a thing is just trying to help Trump win the primary, which is just rather silly. So he's ranting about Governor Larry Hogan potentially running as a third-party candidate. He's been on some sort of weird tirade against the No Labels group for the exact reason I just laid out, because he's basically trying to do Joe Biden's bidding against this organization. And he says if Larry Hogan is interested in choices, why doesn't he challenge Trump? Well, there's a lot of choices in the Republican primary, and Larry Hogan doesn't have a chance there. He does have a chance to at least be, I guess, on the ballot as a third-party candidate, so that's the obvious answer. He thinks a third party can only hurt Joe Biden, and he's probably right, especially if that third party is inherently anti-Trump. But that's just part of what Doug Jones is doing with his time, not as a senator. The rest of it is watching videos on social media and being upset about it. Here's a video with Kimberly Guilfoyle and Tommy Tuberville, where Tommy Tuberville lays out, look, I'm not changing my mind. The Pentagon's not changing their mind. So we're both keeping generals from being promoted, and I'm fine with that.
I'm not changing my mind. Schumer said yesterday he wasn't changing his mind. The White House said they weren't changing their mind. Pentagon weren't changing their mind. So we're at a standstill. So I don't care if they promote anybody, to be honest with you. We've got 44 four-star generals right now. We only had 7 during World War II. So I think we're a little overloaded to begin with.
Now, I don't necessarily agree with Tuberville's take on this, that we have too many generals because we only had 7 during World War II. I don't think that's really relevant to all of this. But his point is the jobs are getting done. And he's made this argument repeatedly on my radio show and elsewhere. Jobs are getting done. The work is happening. This isn't a threat to national security. If it was, I believe Doug Jones would tell you that Donald Trump, our current president, Joe Biden, would drop the policy in favor of national security. They just know it's good politics. And Doug Jones, trying to pretend he doesn't understand this, writes, what the hell? Because he's folksy now. You got to remember this. He's folksy now. He's a completely different person than when he ran for office, and he's super folksy now. He says, what the hell? Those 44 generals were confirmed by bipartisan votes under Republican and Democrat presidents. As a member of the Armed Services Committee who voted for them, he thinks there are too many. To put it in the only language he can understand, this guy is not coachable. See, that's a clever take. See, because he's a coach. That's the whole point. What's sad here, and there are a lot of things that are sad here, what's most sad here is to watch Doug Jones grasp for relevancy. He says, I'll do the Democrats' bidding if only they'll pay attention to me. And they will, and I will, and other people will as well. But it's not good attention. It's just embarrassing. He says hell and folks and damn and y'all and all these other things because he wants you to know that, golly, he's just mad, and he talks like a regular Southerner because he's from Alabama. That shtick has not gotten you a job consistently on cable news. I know you want that, but you failed again. You can't be the Attorney General. You can't be on cable news all the time. So now you're trying to be the tip of this spear against Tommy Tuberville, so you pretend you don't understand what he's saying. What he's saying here when he says, I don't care if any of them get confirmed, is that it's not just him making this point. He tells you, the Pentagon says they're not changing their mind. Joe Biden said he's not changing his mind. And Tommy Tuberville's not going to change his mind. They're at a stalemate. And as long as that happens, well, you're going to have people not get confirmed and not get promoted. It's not just Tuberville holding that position. Everyone holding their line is responsible for this. But the media and guys like Doug Jones only seem to understand that one guy is doing it. And that's not how it works. It takes two to tango here. He doesn't have to give them everything they want. He doesn't have to give them everything they want. But with both sides saying they're not going to negotiate, they're both equally at fault. Now, it's helping them with their bases, sure, but we're not getting closer to a resolution on this. Tuberville's been pretty clear on where this is. I tend to agree with him on his strategy that, hey, look, we're not going to promote anyone unless you go ahead and you start following the law. The Pentagon and Joe Biden have said we're not going to follow the law, so let us promote people. And Tuberville says no. They say no, and then this is where we are. If Doug Jones truly thought this was a national security issue, if any of these people truly thought it was a national security issue, they would ask the Pentagon to back down and fight this battle another way. But because they think it's solely politics, and good politics for them, abortion is good politics for Democrats, I'll agree with that. Because it's good politics for them, they're going to continue down this path and fight this fight for as long as they can. They want Tuberville to continue, which is why you've seen no change in their policy and you've seen absolutely no attempt to negotiate.